Well, a federal judge issued a temporary restraining order on Governor Laura Kelly's ban that says you can't enforce a ban of religious gatherings of 10 or more people at two churches in the state, two specific churches. This ruling stems from a federal lawsuit filed Thursday against Kelly by First Baptist Church of Dodge City and Calvary Baptist Church of Junction City. They argue that her executive order violates religious and free speech rights as well as their right to assembly. Again, reminder, the ruling only does apply to those two churches. All of the others must still limit their gatherings to 10 or fewer people. But even though those two churches were allowed to have in-person services this morning, they're still required to comply with safety protocols, staying 6 feet apart and make sure you're social distancing. 13's Danielle Martin has the latest details on Calvary Baptist Church, their response to this order.
Kansas state policy singles out churches for special punishment while allowing others to have greater freedom. That's both illogical and unconstitutional.
Tyson Langhofer with the Alliance for Defending Freedom, who is behind the lawsuit, says churches should not be singled out.
The government cannot treat religious groups worse than everybody else. Without this temporary restraining order, the state of Kansas is keeping churches from safely gathering, but the governor's order punishes churches who are looking for a safe, responsible way to gather for worship.
The court ruling states that Calvary Baptist Church of Junction City and First Baptist Church of Dodge City must adhere to social distancing and public health protocols in order for their services to continue. One visitor at Calvary Baptist Church says he felt safe attending service on Sunday.
They were very careful. There was an elder at the door who provided basically a briefing. He was only allowing people in one at a time, or couples in at one at a time, keeping distance. They had hand sanitizer there. The people sat at very large distances in the pews, separated from one another. There were some people wearing masks. To me, I felt totally safe.
Scott Prince agrees that Governor Laura Kelly's executive order is unconstitutional.
Absolutely. I think it's horrible that, especially over the most holy weekend for people of faith, Easter, to not be able to worship. And I think our elected leaders ought to be very careful about not transgressing.
He says religious groups should not be treated differently.
In this case, I understand that everybody is concerned about this virus and concerned about public safety, but it doesn't line up. Again, they're not congruent, and to single out churches as places that ought to be closed, there's clearly a discriminatory aspect to this.
But the ruling only applies to the two churches that filed the lawsuit.
The ultimate ruling hopefully will have a broader effect on all churches. We have not been in contact with other churches at this point regarding joining the litigation.
Danielle Martin, 13 News.
They do have a preliminary injunction hearing that's scheduled on Thursday. And Governor Kelly, in a release yesterday, reiterated that this was never about religion and only about the safety of individuals. She continued on in a statement she sent then that this was always about the safety of people. And anytime you gather is a risk for contracting the coronavirus.